going for. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Bikini in the Brain. I'm here with the lovely off-season Ashley Kaltwasser.
Off seasoning.
The rare off-seasoning
Yes.
Ashley Kaltwasser. so we're doing the number 2, part 2 of the Q&A.
But before then, before we get to that point, we have a seminar coming up, guys, and we would love for you to join.
Yes.
And it is in Salt Lake City, Utah, and that will be on February 8th, 2025. Go to thewasatchwarrior.com to sign up. You do not need to be part of Team Elite Physique, which means you can bring all your friends, but you do need to pre-register. I repeat, you do need to pre-register. So head over to thewasatchwarrior.com for more information.
There you go. And we also have one in Vegas on February 22nd. Is that the right date? February 22nd? It's a Saturday.
I hope so. I didn't memorize
it.
I
think it's February 22nd in February. Let's see here. Let me look at the dates. Yes, February 22nd. It's going to be at 10 a.m. That is free for everyone. We're going to be doing fit model and bikini divisions. We'll be doing posing, and I'll tell you guys, I'm debating on doing this because we're going to be doing more mechanic seminars for bikini competitors and fit model competitors, and just making sure that you're using the right mechanics for legs and glutes, and going over postural things, and just kind of spending a day on that. That's going to be for our athletes, for the Team Elite Physique athletes, but I might do an open one because I want to get the format figured out on the next day, like on the 20. So the 22nd, so it'd be like the 23rd, we'll do a full mechanic seminar with everyone, so I can see how this whole thing flows for the Team Elite people. I'm debating on if I want to work 7 days in a row is really the only issue. It's a lot. Starting on a Monday when you work Saturday and Sunday, it's always like a lot to get through to the next break. But it's also that, and figuring out the format, if it'll make sense, and if there's going to be enough people to justify making it. So if you are interested in doing that, whether you're part of the team or just coming in for the seminar on the 22nd, leave it in the comments. If I get enough people, I will do it. If I get enough people doing it, I'll do it. And then we'll go through a full group workout, and I'll make sure that you guys are working out with proper intensity that's required to get the results. So there's a few things that I want to cover this year a little differently than just the seminars, but mechanics and proper intensities and understanding what a rep and reserve is, and all these different things to help make sure that everyone, if they're coming out here, that they can benefit from the whole array of things. So we'll see if we do that too. So, but that would be the next day if we did it. All right. So let's jump into the questions. Yay.
All
right. First question from Annie on Instagram. Annie, go all day. Is I would love to know your thoughts about fasting for women. Do you recommend it?
Well, I would say not needed.
Yeah.
Not needed. So I know that the whole fasted cardio thing is big in our industry, and I think we found out in the last few years, it's not really given the benefits that we all thought, unless you're in a state of extreme depletion. It's really not going to do much for you. So if you're hungry, eat before. If you're not, you can hold off.
Yeah. And in the extreme depletion stage too, I think this is where it becomes kind of weird for fit model and bikini, because they look at things that bodybuilders are doing.
Right.
And they think, oh, that's what I'm going to do. So when that's the problem, is a lot of women will look at bikini competitors, fit model competitors, will look at bodybuilders and like, they have this crazy regimen, because it's cool to see these bodybuilders. It's cool to see Chris Bumstead and Big Ramy getting ready for a show because of what they're doing. It's cool to watch. But you're not that. You're not bikini and fit model. You're not that. Okay. It's a different sport. It's the same stage. It's a different sport. So what you're doing to get ready for these shows and what they're doing to get ready for the shows, it should just be like it's like football and baseball. They're just two different sports. So when you see Big Ramy or these bodybuilders, whatever, getting ready for shows, they're just doing things that put their bodies in a different state where they can benefit from the fasted cardio than someone who's not like chemically altered would. Okay. So it's just a different scenario. Fasted cardio, there's like almost no benefit for a natural athlete. You could change yourself a little bit, be in extreme depleted state, like Ashley said, and then you take things to help you make it a little bit more effective. And maybe you see some of those things on like socials from people doing that, and you're like, oh, that's what I need to do. Well, it might not apply to you. Most likely doesn't apply to you in that scenario. So very little benefit for the regular person of doing anything fasted cardio. Now, as far as fasting going as a diet, it's the benefit is the same as any other diet. So whatever diet helps you stick to the diet the most is a good diet. So is keto a good diet for you? Well, keto is a way for you to lower your calories by not having carbohydrates. So lowering calories is a good diet for you. Is the carnivore diet good for you? Well, hey, carnivore diet's a good diet for a way for you to not have any carbohydrates and lower your calories by not having carbohydrates. That's a good diet. Is a vegan diet good for you? Well, hey, if your vegan diet's getting you to be in a caloric deficit and you can follow it, then hey, that's a good diet. Is macro dieting good for you? Hey, if macro dieting lets you be in a caloric deficit, it's a good diet for you. And is fasting good for you? Well, fasting lowers the window of your eating period, which in turn will put you in a caloric deficit. And if that works for you, then that's a good diet for you. They're all good diets for you guys. There's not like a magic diet. So the reality is any diet that gets you to be in a caloric deficit, that gets you to burn less, gets you to eat less than you burn, is a good diet. That's the reality of things. Whatever works for you. If for a lot of people, fasting at night is really good for them to just stay out of the refrigerator.
Right.
And if that's your thing, hey, great for you. I've done that before too, where I'm like, I'm just going to stop eating at 7, but it works. And then I just don't go back to the refrigerator. Most people mess up at night. Like, it's funny. You see those memes of like someone sticking to their diet. It's funny. It's like, it'll be like a Cookie Monster, like eating the cookies and stuff. It'll say, and the top meme will say, me like 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. And then it'll be like eating like a broccoli or something. And then me after 6 p.m. when I get home, and it's like the Cookie Monster eating all these cookies like crazy. And that's where most people mess up. So if that works for you, we're like, hey, I just don't eat past 7, go for it, go for it. Or if it's the other way around, go for it. Whatever works for you to create that deficit that works. So
yeah, absolutely. Find your own little way. Sometimes it'll take some trial and error with your different styles of dieting. But when you find it, you'll know. And that's the one you can go with.
And I will say too, the difference of being male or female, because the question asked specifically for women, there's no relevancy to that. So it wouldn't differ between male or female either on that. Just creates a good deficit. That's it. If that's the scenario that works best for you. All right. Another question from lovely Lana. All right. How do you know? I'm sorry, I'm reading this like a third grader. How do you know a client is ready to compete / prep? Aside from them wanting to, all capital letters. I'm glad that she did it all capital letters.
Yes. So we can really see it.
Yeah.
I see it. So that's a really good question. I think a lot of people struggle with that, especially like if it's your first show and you have no like markers to go off, right? So if you've done a few shows, you can be like, oh yeah, I'm getting close to like my stage look. I'm at a certain weight where I'm close. You can get somewhat of a good idea, but sometimes it can feel like you have zero clue if it's your first one. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's the thing. So this is what I would say to anyone who is thinking about doing a show. Go to a seminar, go to a posing seminar. They're all over the place these days, guys. Make a trip, come out to the one on the 22nd or the 8th. I'll look at your physique and I'll tell you the honest truth. If you're asking me, hey, am I ready to compete? I'll tell you, I'll say, hey, you can compete in 6 months. You can compete in 3 months. Hey, you should have been on the Olympia stage last week. what are you doing out here? No. So I would say that would be the thing. Get some advice, because it's really hard to see yourself as a competitor at first, because you don't even really understand what you don't have and what you do have. So I would get some outside eyes on you. And then if I have a client who is thinking about competing and they're way ahead of schedule, or I should say the other way around, they're way behind schedule, I guess. Like, I want to compete in 6 months. And I'm like, hey, it's going to take you a year. I just tell them a year, because the hard part about being a coach is sometimes you kind of got to be a jerk, which I don't mean to ever specifically be a jerk. It's just that the client's going to find out when they're on stage that they weren't ready. And that's a way worse way of finding out than you telling them, you need another 6 months. So if you have someone in your corner that's a good coach, you go to a seminar, get some eyes on you from even just maybe a coach or someone at the gym that that's coaches athletes. That would be the best way, I would say, to do that. Get eyes on you.
I would also say too, you got to realize what the client's, I guess, goals are. Are we getting on stage because it's bucket list and you just lost weight and you want to do it once and have a little fun, or do you want to go into the show like in contention to win, like you're going to fight for that title, right? So there's two different sides. You're going to have two different I guess experiences with that when it comes to the timing of it, because if you're getting on stage just to have fun and because you're proud of your accomplishment, you've lost weight or whatever, you're probably not going to take it as seriously as maybe someone that's wanting to only stepping on stage if they're having a good shot to win, right?
Yeah.
There is a big difference with that mindset. So if it's someone that's just wanting to get on stage, obviously we can get them on stage a lot quicker than somebody that would want to go on only when they're ready to win or is in the realm of winning, right? So if you're one of those, then that's something that you're going to have to be patient with, because as you know, it's not easy in the sport. And I can guarantee you, even in Fit Model, it's not going to be easy. So you still got to put in the work. And wherever you are in your fitness journey, it's only going to, I couldn't tell you that. Only your coach or even going to a seminar like you suggested, that's going to tell you too.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, especially I'm glad that you pointed out that the Fit Model is not going to be easy.
Yeah.
People, they'll see. I mean, if you weren't a coach back then or you weren't an athlete back then, like I could understand people thinking it's going to be, oh, it's just a walk-on division. But if you were a coach back then, the same things were happening. The girls were getting off stage. You need more muscle. I need more glutes. I need more. Even then, when you went to the seminar, I told everyone was like, I'll never look like that. Like girls, I'm like, and then now you have all these people thinking they're just past that. And I'm like, you think you're past the base of where Ashley was like when she won the Olympics? That's so crazy to say that. It's like me thinking it'd just be easy for me as a guy to just look better than Mark Anthony did when he won the Olympia, like the first time. Like, no, that was still an incredible physique. I don't look better than that. Sorry, guys. Like, it wasn't like an easy thing to accomplish. I don't understand where this is coming from. It was like a world winning physique. Like, it's like, oh yeah, I'm better than that now just because the division is resetting. And I'm like, no, I'm still not. Like, it's bigger now than when Mark won and leaner, but I'm still not past that first mark, right? Like come on, guys. What are we doing here?
It's not even just about being big enough or being developed enough for the division. It's being developed enough in all the right places, right? Like I'm sure there's somebody out there, most people can be like, oh yeah, my triceps is big as hers or something, but it's like, is everything complete? That's the question.
Yeah, so fun. People are very underestimating this one. They're gonna be like, oh, these girls are pretty muscular. They're pretty jacked and they're built really nice, round, full muscle bellies. Like, so people will see. It's a tough division. I remember exactly how tough it was. And, even in 2015, it was hard to turn people pro. You gotta remember too, back then at the USA's, there was classes of 50 girls on stage because it was easier now we'll say it's easier to fit that physique amount of muscle and conditioning. So more people competed more often. And they were stacking girls at USA's, and the C class was stacking girls. We're talking 50 girls, like lines of girls stacked on the stage, like in the A line, like 1 row, 2 row, 3 row on this side, 1 row, 2. Like it was hard to win pro cards. It was really difficult because there's just so many options, right? For the coaches. So it's not going to be an easy thing. There's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of different challenges, of course. And I had one good question come in from, which I should have mentioned too, from Joni. Joni says here, she says, I love fasted cardio because I don't like the way I feel doing cardio with food in her stomach. I also like doing it first thing so I can shower and get ready for the rest of the day.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, I didn't think.
It's an invigorating start to the day. Yeah,
and I should have mentioned that too. And that's okay. If you want to work out fasted or do cardio fasted, there's nothing wrong with doing it. There's just no big benefit to it. But maybe in Joni's example, the benefit to her is she likes the way she feels, with doing it. So hey, that is a benefit. I've been through phases of working out fasted where I just feel better. Now I get hungry. I don't know what changed, but I would be able to do it before, and now I can't do it. Now it messes up my workout. So everyone's different. Now 30 minutes into the workout, I'm like, oh, I'm starving. And it's like, which I'm not, but I feel like I am,
Well, I can say I probably did one fasted workout or cardio, maybe one in the past 5 years.
I was gonna say, even that one surprises me.
That one. Yeah.
How'd it go?
I don't know. I can't remember.
That's not a you thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I always eat first thing. I wake up and I eat. So that's my routine.
It's just like part of the day, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
All right. Let's see here. All right. Logan has a question that many of us have. So Logan, you're not alone in this one. I would say probably everyone listening to this is in the same boat as you at some point or another in their life. How do I fix my reverse if I royally messed up and ate whatever during the holidays? I would say most people have done that. I've
Yeah.
done it, So how do you fix it? Well, depends what you mean by royally messed up too, royally messed up is a pretty loose term here. Some people will think others than others, some people will gain 3 pounds and think that's royally messed up. And some people will think 30 is not messing up. They think it's balance. So which one do you fall into, right? And give yourself that grace. Maybe you didn't really mess up that bad, what do you think about that, Ash?
Well, just know you're not alone, first and foremost, but there's hope. You just got to get on the right track. And hopefully, in between the holidays and now, you did that, because I did collect these questions a few weeks ago. So hopefully it's fixed by now. But hey, we just got to get back on the right track. Today is a new day. No matter what you did yesterday, let's just start fresh. I am not I'm not big into trying to correct what already happened, but more so thinking of it as let's just start to get back on the right track. And I don't recommend trying to correct with cardio and just going on a cardio spree of hours and hours. I would much rather this person put it to good use and get some really good lifts this week or whatever. But it's a new day. That's all I got to say. Try not to let the guilt weigh you down too much, but just remember and reflect back on that feeling of guilt next time you decide to go past your calorie limit there. But again, it's live and learn, and hopefully you learned from it.
Yeah. And then if you're looking at things in terms of, okay, what's the best possible method? Because you have yourself a little bit of anyone who does this does have themselves a little bit of an issue with what's the best method to get back on track with what they should be doing. Because here's the problem that people run into. When they do that, they want to lose that weight instantly. That's the problem. The other problem is that you gained weight so rapidly that your settings from your show and your previous diet haven't been corrected yet. So you have yourself still somewhat adapted to your previous dieting settings. And then you have a weight gain that you want to lose rapidly that won't come off because your settings are still basically in your last few weeks of dieting.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you're in this kind of middle area here and you don't know what to do. And that's always the issue. It's like, I want to get it off me now. But if I do that, I just prolong my previous caloric deficit for a longer period of time. I still haven't had my hormonal corrections yet. I haven't had everything that's sped up yet. I haven't changed my cardio settings, all these different things. So what do? Well, it depends on how much weight you gain. If it's 3 pounds, just move forward. Don't even worry about it. Honestly, if it's 7 pounds, just move forward and continue with the diet because it's not that bad. It's not like that much damage. It's not like you gained, 20 pounds. Now, if you gained 20 pounds, different scenario. In that scenario, I would probably have that person go like right to maintenance calories and no more of a surplus, maybe even a slight deficit, because that extra energy, you do have that available for you if your body needs to use it as energy. So in that scenario, I'd, try to find maintenance calories and come down maybe 100, 200 calories from there. So you're still kind of somewhat in that your body's able to use that extra fat that you just stored as energy. You're kind of somewhat correcting everything. And your mindset is at least like, okay, well, the scale's going down a tiny bit slowly. But if the answer that you're looking for is, okay, just start dieting really hard for 3 weeks, get it off you and start, it's probably not going to work that great because you haven't gone through the period of the hormonal correction and giving yourself that time to really correct. So those are kind of the scenarios there. And you're going to need some like weekly data to adjust, so tell your coach, whoever your coach is, check in, see what your next week looks like, adjust the calories accordingly. And it's going to be a week by week thing of changing those calories around. But that's unfortunately not an easy answer to that. There's a kind of a multi-step thing. So hopefully you're one of those scenarios that helps kind of guide you. There you go.
Before we get into next question, we got some good ones from our viewers here too. We can dig into.
Oh, cool. Which one do you want to go into?
Go into that one.
All right, let's do it. I haven't read it, so hopefully it's a good one. Let's see. I'm coming to Fit Model Bikini as a hybrid, now serious marathon runner. Sorry, it's a slash there, so I'm kind of confused on how to read that. All right, any tips for someone who is already lean, used to staying lean?
And then her question continues.
Oh, follow-up question.
Yes.
Okay, let's see it. Similarly, any tips for someone who used to heavier cardio in their fitness as a baseline?
Well,
Okay.
the good news is it's not going to affect you being a marathon runner as much as the other divisions, seeing that you want to dabble in the world of fit model. So
Yeah.
I don't know what you look like, but it could be possible. You might already be at that point. I know she says she's already used to staying lean, but then again, how lean is that?
Yeah. And is it the right lean too?
Right.
Is it, because there's the difference of competition lean is lean, and the difference of marathon running is kind of skinny. So there's a difference, right? Skinny would be someone who's small that still has a good amount of body fat, but like not that much muscle. You'll see that on a lot of marathon runners. Kind of that, I don't want to say skinny fat, but just skinny, they're skinny small, type of thing with not a lot of muscle pop. Now lean and muscular, totally different thing. Lean is going to be, low body fat, high muscle content. So what do you mean by lean, right? What do you mean by, you got to have the right definition there, because it's going to be very different based on the look. You're not going to see a lot of marathon runners looking ready for a fit model competition or bikini competition. It's not the sport for it. It's on the polar end of it. Of, if you were to look at what is the anti-sport for bodybuilding, that would be marathon running.
Yes. And by the way, when I responded, I want to say conditioning wise,
yes,
not like body type wise. So
correct. I think everyone got you. I think it just got you cleared it up.
Yes.
So it's at the polar end of it. If you have to train the way you want to look. So if you want to look like a marathon runner, you train like a marathon runner. Very simple. That's how the type of muscle fibers, that's a type of look you're going to develop. So what makes a endurance athlete good? Well, they don't have a lot of muscle. They don't have a ton of muscle, because muscle is going to weigh you down. Not going to be good for endurance sports. Their muscle has really good ability to use oxygen. So that's going to be, more red muscle fibers that are smaller, helps you run long distances, helps you go on for long periods of time, versus white muscle fiber, which is big and round and explosive and strong. So if you see, and that's why you see the differences of looks on, like, football is a great example of that, because you have kind of both types. You have your sprinters who are muscular and lean, and they're the receivers. They run super, super fast, and they can catch a ball, and then they can do it again, but they don't do it all day long, right? They just super fast up, and then 30 seconds and that's it, or whatever. 30 seconds, like 5 seconds. And then you have your linemen, these big, huge men, like huge beasts of men. I didn't realize how big those guys were until, I got to tell you this funny story, but I didn't realize how big those guys were until one day I got stuck in a locker room in an NFL locker room.
Oh yeah.
Should I tell that story? It is the craziest story.
I think I know what you're talking. I think
it's the most embarrassing. It's not embarrassing. It's just one of those like Adam situations. Like, how do I get myself into these situations? Right. Okay. So anyway, the differences of those, I'll tell the story after, because it's really funny. I'll tell the difference of those guys. So these big giant men, and they could just push a guy from coming in. Right. And if you put the receiver on the center's job, and you put the center on the receiver's job, the sport wouldn't even make sense. So you do have to train for what you want to look like. Now you also have to understand that will affect your bodybuilding in terms of your glutes. Glutes are going to be, in your hamstrings, white muscle fiber, big round muscles. We need hard muscles. So yeah, if you're running all the time, long-term, it will affect you, but we're talking, it has to be at a point where it affects you too. If you're only running 30 minutes a day, it's not going to be bad. If you're training for a marathon and you're putting in, I don't even know what marathon running training was like. Is it like 2 hours? What is it even like?
That's a good question, because I've never ran a marathon.
Yeah. So I guess it depends on the training for it. Like, I'm sure you're ramping up marathon running, and you're doing 5 miles, 6 miles. I don't know how it works. Tori would be a good question for that. But if you're doing like straight up endurance sports for 2 hours a day, unlikely you're going to have the round full glutes of, a bikini competitor. It's just not how the training works. You're going to look how you train. It is what it is. That's just how it goes. So
yes. And I will also add to that, one of those things is going to take a hit, just so you know. It's likely.
Yeah.
One of those is going to take a hit, meaning if you are thinking about doing the fit model, you might not be the best fit model you could be with that type of training. And then on the opposite end of it, it's also going to affect your marathon running as well. It will. I remember my little experiment with my 5K races I used to do. As I got closer to a show, you would think my times would go down, because I'm getting leaner, more conditioned, more aerobically conditioned, meaning I can go longer and longer, right? Because I'm practicing more. Times got worse, because as I got more depleted and I had less carbs and less fuel, less body fat, my times went down. So likely going to happen. Just little heads up.
Yeah.
Something's going to take a hit.
You're going to be good you can only be like, yeah, you're going to end up in the middle is what's going to happen, because you're training for one, training for another, you're going to end up like somewhere in the middle is pretty much what it is. So yeah, I guess in that scenario, we should you're going to have to commit to one of them a little bit more than the other. Maybe during the winters you do more. Gosh, but it takes so long to build a physique. It's a really hard thing. I guess it depends on your training. Maybe during the winters, or if you only ramp up to a marathon once a year would be probably the answer to that. There's probably people that are a little more experienced with that. But I'm a realist. I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to fluff you and be like, oh yeah, you could do both and you're going to be great at both. I guess it's not a way, most sports work. You have to train for the sport, and it's just one of those things. So yeah, I guess it just depends on how much activity you're doing for the marathon training. It really comes down to what's really endurance sports for you.
It's hard to answer these without knowing the person and seeing the person and their diet and what their physique already looks like. But we're saying, generally speaking, making assumptions of what a marathon runner would typically look like.
Yeah. So anyway,
about that story. Abby.
Do you want to hear that story? It's a funny story.
You already said you were going to say it.
I did. It's a little bit. I'll tell it quickly as I can.
Okay.
So, in California, my family owns a grocery store, and they sell a lot of Budweiser beer. It's a Mexican grocery store. Of course, they sell a lot of Budweiser beer. So because of that, Budweiser in California always gave me tickets to everything, right? So they gave me these special tickets because they sponsor every event. They gave me these special like lanyard tickets to this San Diego Charger game, right? And I was like, oh, cool, I'll go to the Charger game. They gave me these lanyards, and it was like the Budweiser section. They put up this special section on the field, like on the actual grass behind the end zone. And I was like, oh, cool. So the guys, they didn't even know how to sit me there. They sit me there and they go, hey, so you guys got to sit in here. But I had a lanyard, and I was like, I'm going to see how far I could push this thing. I'm just going to get off this little bench here and start walking around the field. Cause no one knows, I have a lanyard. So they're just going to tell me to go sit down. I'm probably not going to get kicked out. And who I was with, I'll tell you later, but it's so funny because she's not like this. And she's always mad that I was always doing stuff like this. And I was like, let's just see how far we can push it. Let's see how far we can push it. So we start walking around. No one says anything. So I end up walking in this hallway that is they're like the hallway to their locker room, right? But there's four different ones. So I just thought, whatever, I'll go in this way. And then I walked down a little farther, and it's this huge thing. And then I saw where the press is at the end, where they have those press conferences. And I was like, oh, cool, this is where they do the press conferences. This is where they do. So I'm like touristing, right? I'm under the stadium of the San Diego Chargers at this point. I'm not supposed to be here, right? But people keep walking by me. They're not saying anything. So I'm like, whatever. Right. And so we're in this thing, we're taking pictures. There's like, signs of football teams everywhere on the walls. And it's like, cool. We're taking pictures of it, whatever. Right. And then all of a sudden we start hearing this like rumble, right? These guys are getting ready for the game. So all the football players are coming towards me, right? I could see them. There's huge men, and they're taking up the whole hallway. There's like 40 of them, right? In helmets. They're all ramped up. They're all amped up. They're getting ready for a football game. And we're in the hallway. We're like, oh, whatever. We'll walk out. Well, during the time we're in the hallway of the walking out, they blew up the helmet that the football players run out of. Mm-hmm. So now I'm stuck in between the group of the football players. Everyone in the stadium is now watching the hallway because they blew up the football helmet where everyone runs out of, where they make the entrance onto the field. So I have no choice of being run over by these football players or being first onto the field after they have the helmet up and the fog going. So I'm like, I'm super screwed here. I don't know what to do. So I'm like, well, the only option is just running out onto the field. We don't have a choice here. Like we have to run onto the field. So because the helmet blew up, so like you're running out of the helmet. And I'm like, oh shit, man, what do we do? So I'm like, I got an idea. Let's wait till the fog kicks off. And if the fog kicks off strong enough, we can like kind of scoot out and just make like a U-turn around the helmet so we don't look like we're bursting onto the field. And then we'll sit down. I won't leave these seats. I'm sorry, like whatever. So we waited till they're coming. The fog bursted off, and then we just like kind of scooted out, and it was pretty uneventful, but it was a very anxious, but people did see us come out. It was and then we just went and we're like, we're gonna get kicked out. We have to get kicked out for this, but we didn't get kicked out. We were right to our seats. And it was just like, why do you always do this shit? I was like, I'm sorry, I didn't know. It was so funny. One of my funnier stories though, I was like, so many times I've ended up in situations like that from pushing it. I don't know how you told me that, like, I just get into places.
Yeah.
Like I got into this room.
You're a very convincing individual.
It's crazy.
I wouldn't question you.
I got into the room, this like private bar area with Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone at this major fight. And I was like, how are we in here? I was like I shouldn't be in here, but I'm just like pretending I'm the part, I got.
It's like, cause you look too nice. I'm telling you, I told you earlier, it's cause you look so nice.
I just walk in. Friendly. They just don't. Yeah, just walk in.
This is why people go up to you when we're like at events or something together, or even just randomly on a street, they'll always go up to you and ask for directions, or because you look friendly.
I guess it's pretty funny. That was a funny one. So anyway, sorry to take up your time on that, guys, but it's a funny story. I have quite a few of those random ones that don't make a lot of sense.
Kimora is asking us a really good question here. She says, "Hi, Ashley and Adam. Just wondering your thoughts on the style of the fit model suit, why no crystals, and how to choose a color for stage." Okay, so the first question I'm going to answer, I don't know the answer to that, but I'm going to assume it's because they're trying to keep this cost effective and also to make a very clear distinction between bikini and fit model. So they're really trying to separate as much as possible, because especially in the beginning, it might be a little difficult, because we're going to have bikini competitors that are going to want to migrate to fit model too. So to like really make it clear, I think they're going to make it like that. So I don't know how long it's going to keep, but for now we have to keep the suits a little bit different. And as far as choose a color for stage, the same principle would apply to the other suits. Just a color that's very jewel toned, as Adam describes, very saturated, vivid color that doesn't clash with your tan, or I should say blend in with your tan too much, and hair as well. So yeah,
I think you answered that perfectly. I think I do think that's the reason too. Just to make I think there's another reason too, would be maybe not a direct reason what they thought about, but the people who are going from fit model to bikini, they kind of have their graduation of getting the sparkly suits.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it.
They're like, oh, I can finally wear
the sparkle.
Yeah, like they graduate to that. I think that's another, at least it's like a fun award or reward for it. Yeah. But yeah, I think cost of entry is probably a big part of it, And
also with the coverage aspect of it, I'm thinking because maybe this is more of a lifestyle type division that maybe we'll see more, I guess, regular people like teachers, people with jobs. They don't want to show maybe that much. Maybe that's the reason for the coverage as well. I'm not entirely sure. That's literally just something that I'm assuming.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know the reasoning for it too, other than that's how it used to be.
Yeah.
I mean, that could, kind of like
that is how it used to be, guys.
Yeah, it's almost like if you look at, there's a lot of similarities with the classic physique trunks, where it's like that's how those trunks used to be. They're all like that, and so the cut's different, and that's how it's kind of like almost like classic bikini. That'd be kind of funny. They call it classic bikini, because it kind of is, right? It kind of is. But I guess bikini is not old enough to be classic, so I guess that's why it wouldn't make sense.
True, 2009. It doesn't really, not vintage yet.
Yeah, but I will say too, people are, whenever there's an issue, companies step up. So if that's just how markets work, right? So if like suit manufacturers or material companies realize, hey, we're maxed out because on material, like how much we can profit on this because we can't add crystals to it. Because before it was like just a base. Like right now, suits are like essentially just a base, and then you put crystals on it. And there's very little the suit actually shows these days. Like it's all crystals, right? Well, now that the suit is the primary look, right, for majority of the competitors. I mean, most people are going to be fit model than bikini these days. I imagine there's going to be a huge evolution of the actual materials, because the materials are now going to need to be the crystals essentially. So I bet you in the next couple of years, you're going to see a jump in quality and a jump in shines and different things that they come up with to make these actual material more like the sparkly suits. Probably see a nominal price increase because of it. Hey, that's the reason that they're going to make those suits nicer so they can make more money off of it, right? Or make the material nicer so they can make more money off of the premier materials. So I'm guessing within a couple of years, you'll see an evolution of that part of it too.
Yes. And the sport is very receptive to feedback. So if they see that, a lot of girls are saying, I really would prefer to have more sparkle or something like that, it might evolve to what you see in bikini today. Who knows? Or at least some version of that. But think of also the classic trunks too. Remember how they used to be much more coverage, right? Yeah. Didn't they have in the beginning when they first announced that it would almost be like booty shorts kind of?
Yeah, they were pretty much.
And now they're like underwears, right? Yeah. So
100% actually.
Yeah. So that could very well be the case with this new division as well. So I wouldn't think it's set in stone, but for now, that's what it is. And I don't think it's as bad as people are like complaining. I get it. It's like part of the, the glam of stage day. It's like, oh, to wear this really sparkly, blinding bikini. But I think, like you said, the suit makers will step up. People will find a way to push it a little bit, I think, especially with the material, because I know that holographic is allowed. I wonder if holographic glitter is allowed. Like, you know what I mean? So I don't know if people are going to start to push it and then it just becomes that way. That could be the case. Because remember, in bikini, people started with no sparkle. Then every once in a while, we would see a little bit of like, oh, got a little stones. Okay. Very far apart stones. And then the stones came closer together and then more and more. And now it's like, it's more stone than suit.
Yeah.
It's completely covered completely. So who knows? That could happen with this one too. We'll see.
Yeah. Some of these suits, it's like, there's like not even a point of caring about the under color of the suit. It's like, they're like, oh, I'm going to pick this purple, but I'm going to cover every centimeter of it with well, then why does it even matter? Unless you can see through it. Yeah. It's so funny. So yeah, I'm guessing that's going to be a big part of it. So pretty soon.
Yes.
Yeah. We'll see how that goes. That's going to be an exciting part of it. Like just the evolution of the suits themselves.
Yeah.
So
cool.
All right. So here's another question from Rose. I thought it was a pretty good question. Do you see bikini becoming more competitive with the fit model division, meaning less muscular girls going to fit model, leaving more developed physiques left to compete against? Oh, I get what you're saying. So you're saying basically fit model will steal the good physiques in bikini that are not as muscular, leaving only a pool of very muscular girls to compete in. I don't see that happening. Because if fit model is going to be what fit model is said to be, it's going to be very clearly defined of what the difference is between the two. So, and I think that you're not going to see this like huge exit pool of pro bikini competitors all of a sudden going to fit model, because people keep sending me physiques of these competitors that maybe aren't the most muscular. And then they send them to me like, oh, you think she's going to go to fit model? You think she's going to go to fit model? I'm like, no, she's got tie-ins. She's got shoulder caps. Like she's past fit model. Like it's just the way she's made at this point. It's not even about the muscle, but it's the way she's like made. If competitors lean and they have tie-ins and shoulder caps when they're lean, and then they're soft, it's still showing shoulders and like tie-ins. Like they're just kind of developed that way now, So you're not going to see this huge exiting pool of pros going down to fit model when the pro division starts, and the pro division won't even start till 2026. And then the Olympia maybe will happen. I'm guessing it's probably going to be 2027. Maybe it'll happen in 2026. I'm honestly thinking it's 2027 when it happens. And then at that point, you still have 2 more years before pros have to even decide like where they're going to compete if there was an exiting. So you got to think, if these pros only have one place to compete right now, which is bikini, all of 2025, most of 2026, they're probably just going to build even more from now till then in bikini. So it's just going to be, there's not going to be a big exiting. It's just not possible. They're already too developed. If you're a pro now in bikini, you're in bikini. You're not like you got a pro card based on the current standards and you're not going down. If you got it within the last like couple years, at least,
Yeah. There's like, I think very few pro bikini girls that we know of that would be more suited, I guess, for fit model. Even me and Adam, like we're thinking of some names just off the top of our head, but every time we thought of one, we were like, but she has like tie-ins when she's soft though, or something that would be more of like a bikini physique. So even the physiques that you think of might not be the case, but then again, we'll find out. But I think here's the thing about muscle. It is so hard to get, but once it's on there, it's also harder to lose too. So sometimes it's not just as easy as, oh, I'll just quit training shoulders. It's not as easy as that sometimes. So,
and as far
I'm in too deep right now. All I can say is I'm in too deep.
You're in way too deep.
I'm in too deep.
And I don't see it putting any pressure on the bikini division to get more muscular either, especially for at least a few years. But I honestly don't think it will, because I mean, I think you just have your separate divisions now. And if it puts any pressure on any other division, it might be like, I think it would be like the more muscular divisions. I don't think it would be the smaller divisions. So yeah, I don't see it changing much besides having a whole new pool of women that have just not been able to compete because they could never reach the demands of bikini now. That's really the only thing I think you're going to see from it. Now, I will say it will nuke the bikini division in an NPC level. If the coaches out there are good, it will nuke the local bikini division, meaning that the local bikini shows in NPC will probably be about as big as figure divisions are now at these shows, which is pretty small because there's very, very few girls in the NPC level that fit the current bikini standards where they're clearly not fit model. Most people competing in bikini right now in NPC are fit model. If you're a pro, then you're obviously bikini, but you're not a pro yet in bikini because you likely don't have enough muscle, which means you're most likely leaning towards more being capped out fit model or more fit model already, just fitting the fit model. So if people listen to the criteria, it's bikini will be like 30% of where it was, and bikini will take that 70, or fit model will take that 70%. That's what I don't see it happening though, because people are too resistant.
Yeah.
People fight it so much. And I'm like, cause I have, even my athletes that I talk to, and I have some athletes that have been doing this for a few years with me. And I'm like, yeah, you just fit the criteria better. I don't mind telling them the reality of things, even if it's not. That's what a good coach should do, is tell them what they don't necessarily want to hear, but what they need to hear. But a lot of coaches, I think, are just not having, because people are resisting it.
Yeah.
Everyone I tell is like, oh, but I've always wanted to do bikini. And I'm like, but that's not where you're at. Like
yeah, you'll see it on the other end of it too. Then some they'll want to be fit model more, but they're built for bikini, or bikini, but they're built more for fit model, But it's tough. Here's the thing. I could technically compete in women's bodybuilding, but is that the best division for my physique, for my structure? No. But technically, I could do it. No one's stopping me. I could do it. It's just not the best. So that's something you have to consider too. If you are truly just in love with the glitz and glam of bikini, and you're just set on that super sparkly bikini, and that's you, even though you might do better in fit model, it's at the end of the day, you do have some say in it, but is it the best outcome for your physique? Probably not.
Yeah. So we should see, it should be a big movement, like somewhere in the 6-month marker, where you see the fit model division being the biggest divisions, if people are picking the right divisions. But, we saw it with wellness too. When wellness first started, you had a lot of what I would say is, I don't want to say it in a mean way, but it's kind of basically bikini competitors with soft legs is what you had doing wellness at the local level and NPC level. And they're like, oh, I'm more wellness. And I'm like, no, you just still have body fat to lose on your legs. And you would actually be bikini if you lost all the body fat.
Just 4 weeks out bikini competitor.
Yeah, it's really what it was. Wellness was just a bunch of bikini competitors who were 8 weeks out and they lost body fat and their legs last, is what it was. So now you've seen them, make that evolution, and a lot of the wellness competitors actually look like wellness competitors. Most do, but you still see some who just are confused about how much muscle they have in their legs and how much body fat they have in their legs. But with, and you're going to have that with bikini too. You're going to have a lot of girls that you look at bikini, they're like, oh, I want to do bikini. And you're gonna be like, you clearly are fit model. Like, you clearly need more muscle to actually max out the fit model division, but you're doing bikini. So you're going to see that. So yeah, it should happen somewhere, I think, around like September. People will kind of figure out where they belong, I think. Or I guess we're already in, September. I think September would work. Okay, so here's another question from M Shuttles. She says, per comment Adam made, do you think there will be a lot of graduation from fit model to bikini, or most girls will just pick one and stick with it? I would say it's based on the success of the girl in that division.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if this girl's doing really well and she's winning shows, I would tell her, you're silly to go to another division if you're already the look that they're wanting.
Yeah.
So
yeah, if you got a pro card and fit model, why take the risk? Just stay.
Unless the judge is saying, hey, I think you need to bump up division, because if a judge is telling you that, then obviously that's your sign. But
yeah, it won't be. Think about it this way: how many bikini girls are graduating to figure? Like, it's pretty rare.
I don't even know if I've seen any.
It's super rare. Yeah,
it's also rare to see figure to go to bikini too.
Yeah, it's
probably more bikini to wellness, or wellness to bikini, than the other way.
Yeah, I see more figure to bikini than I see bikini to figure. and I rarely see, I actually see more figure to physique than I do figure bikini to figure.
Yeah, sometimes
crazy, yeah.
sometimes I'll see like like old school figure go to bikini because that was bikini, but like yeah, I guess it depends on what time or what era figure was because
Yeah.
it's like I guess right now I'm figure
Yeah, you're
from
definitely
like 2005.
you're leaner and more muscular than the figure girls I had in like 2010, 2011. Yeah. Yeah, or
so
whatever it was.
guess
Whatever
it
years it was.
yeah, it depends on what era we're talking about.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
It
So
is crazy.
yeah, so it won't happen. That's the thing. I think a lot of people think it'll just happen on accident. You know, I'm just going to keep working out, and then eventually I'll just go from fit model to bikini. It's not going to happen on accident. You have to intend to do bikini.
Yeah.
Like you have to, like, it's going to take a lot. It's not just going to happen. Like, it's like me accidentally waking up and being a pro bodybuilder. Like, it's like, that's not like I lift weights. I don't accidentally become a pro bodybuilder. Like, you need to focus on that. You know, it's the same. The muscle jump from fit model to bikini is pretty significant. So it's not going to happen on accident.
Yes, Robert. Erin Stern was an example of figure to bikini, correct? But then again, she's the old school figure, what we were talking about. So old school figure is kind of bikini now.
Yeah.
So
she filled out that division very easily.
But that's the first person I thought of too. And then also he asked the date and location for 2025 Olympia. It's going to be in Vegas. I don't know the exact date just yet. I think it's second weekend of October. I could be wrong, but it's definitely in Vegas.
Yeah, at Resorts World. I love it.
We're lucky.
Yeah,
lucky to
I was
have
there
it
on set. I was there on what day was I there? I was just there. I was there.
You were there?
Yeah,
I was there at one point in my life too.
Yeah, so I'm like so familiar with the casino. I'm there probably twice a week now, which is great. So
good. You can scout out some shortcuts to the like venues and stuff.
Yeah,
and
they took care of me now. They give me free parking and everything now. So I was like, sweet, I got it made. All right.
Next question.
What piece of advice would you give to someone who is debating on competing again?
I would say just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Look at you.
Yeah. Because I guess the fit model is kind of waking people up and it's everyone's sign to get back on stage. So there we go.
Yeah. I don't think there's really much to that. Just do it. If you're thinking about it. Yeah. If you're thinking about it.
This is your sign.
Yeah. Just use it. Yeah. Use it as I mean, it's so fun to do a show. If you guys are anyone's out there like thinking about doing a show, when you get that accomplishment of doing the show, I mean, a lot of times, yeah, how you do in the show has weight to it, but just getting on stage and having something to stick to and just having a purpose every day really is a pretty impactful thing in your life. You know, just having hey, I want to compete in 6 months and you have that goal, just having that goal in your life really just makes things like every day, like worth doing. Like it just gives you something to do, you know, and it's like having that purpose and that focus on something. So I'm always a fan of that. And you know, hopefully you're coming back and maybe you can really see how you do now. Maybe the division before was a little bit too muscular for you. And now it is, you know, and now it fits you just right. And now maybe you could be the next star. We don't know until you do it, until you try. So yeah.
Yeah.
I like that response.
What is next show? I plan on hopefully getting back on stage in June. And I don't have a specific show, but we have some really good options for June. So hopefully June. If not June, definitely July, but June, I'm feeling June.
Yeah. Well, there you go. All right. Stronger Nurse, body fat and muscle percentages for competitors, both bikini and fitness category. Okay. And fitness, I imagine she means fitness, like acrobatics fitness. Probably, right? Unless she's talking about fit model, because that could be that too.
I think probably, well, I'm going to read it as fitness since it says fitness, which is the same, I guess, as figure.
Pretty lean. Yeah, pretty damn lean. Fitness these days is like, I mean, fitness these days is, you know, sometimes more muscular than women's physique. You know, these girls are jacked in fitness. I mean, they would be more muscular than women's bodybuilding was 20 years ago. You know, these guys are jacked.
Which is really impressive considering the fact that they also tumble and do all that. It's crazy. Definitely not the ideal type for tumbling, but they make it work.
Yeah, it's strange in that regard, right? That's the one thing I always thought in that division. That's a whole nother podcast of I feel like if they were smaller, more like just the gymnast body,
like cheerleader body type gymnasts,
like how much better would the routines be? And if it was just routines, because that's a debate they've been having for years.
Yeah,
it would be, you know, if I'm seeing someone like that's doing like college level gymnast type flips and stuff. Like that's pretty awesome to watch. Not that the girls aren't awesome to watch. It's just that you're weighed down by so much muscle. Your core's going to be limited by it. It's just
and very lean too.
Yeah. And
you're not going to have so much energy for that.
Yeah. You're dehydrated. It's just not the same thing as, so it's interesting that division itself. I wonder, yeah, but it's lean. It's a very lean division. That's going to be the one division, or not one, there's a couple divisions, but that's one of the divisions where you're going to see women maybe sub 12%. Like that's a lean person. Like I've only seen one female in person where they were truly sub 10%. Their woman's physique at the Arnold Classic, shredded, like anatomy chart shredded. And it was like 9.6 or something like that. And it was crazy shredded.
I think a lot of people are having like confusion too with the method of which you test the body fat too, because I know some, if you want to clarify that real quick too, just so, because I'm sure so many people on the other end are hearing that and they're like, I was 9 last week. I was 9% last week. What are you talking about?
Good luck. Yeah. It's funny when you hear that, especially when you hear coaches saying that their women are 9%, like get a new coach. That guy is not experienced. So the methods are a huge factor. Now, here's the thing. There's very few methods that are going to be what you'd consider accurate. DEXA scan would be probably the golden of the method out of all of them, but there's even going to be variants on that. So, that's going to be the most accurate one. And then that was the method that was used, the DEXA scan. So, if you do on the scale where you stand on it, or the bioelectrical impedance where you like hold it, that's, it's not that accurate. If you do it every single day and it gives you a baseline of the difference of yesterday to today, that could be one thing, but all these factors go into that. Your, how much water you have, things like that. Cause water is technically lean. So it's lean body mass, cause you have it in you. And so, if you have a ton of water and that's going to throw off your percentage of lean mass to fat mass. And therefore your body fat can change theoretically on bioelectrical impedance, something like that. So there's different methods for it. And the DEXA scan is probably the most accurate. Now, most bikini competitors are going to be in that 12% plus range. 12 is pretty shredded if a girl is 12%. It's a very different type of person who's successful at 12%. There's very few I could think of. I won't name them, but I would say maybe they get to 12s, but most are hitting that lean look 13, 14%. And then you might even have some at 15%, depending, and how much muscle they have, how dense the muscle they have is, how deep the grooves of the muscle are. Because the deeper the groove, the softer you want that bikini competitor. Because if the muscle's going through the skin's going around the grooves, then it looks leaner. You don't need to be as lean if you're more developed. So there's all these different factors that go into it. And it's just, we're trying to hit a look. So I would never tell anyone to worry about their body fat percentage. I have clients that will send me like DEXA scans and stuff like that. And I'm like, just don't even, like, you don't even need to send it to me. Like, it's useless to me, because all I care about is your look. Whatever your look is, they're not going to pull out a caliper on stage or who's the leanest, they're going to win. It's just about your look. So I wouldn't get obsessed with it, because you might win. Your winning physique might be 12%. Your winning physique might be 16% for you. It's a look that you're going for. And that's why you need like a skilled person to bring you on stage to the right look for your amount of muscle, for your skin type, how thin your skin is, all these different things for the right look. Personally, I could care less about someone's body fat percentage. Just if I know if they're in condition or if they're not. That's all I care about. So word. I like that. Is that it? Did we come to the end of it? Look at that perfect.
Well, Allison did ask a really good question, so I think we'll leave off on that one. So Allison asked, what are some of the training differences you had in 2015 versus now? Okay, honestly, not a terrible difference between then and now when it comes to training, but something changed. What changed? Well, I'm definitely training a lot more consistency and intensity these days, I will say. So one thing I noticed about myself is if I'm training by myself, I'm not getting as good of a workout as if someone else is there guiding me, babysitting me, making sure I go through the movements and I'm giving good intensity. Because what happens is if I don't, I'm just going to zone out and not pay attention, which I think by saying this, it surprises a lot of people, because a lot of people think I'm like so intense, motivated 365 days a year and I can do everything myself. I need help with these things. So that is one thing I need help with, is pushing myself in the gym, with the lifts, especially. I can do cardio myself, that's fine. But for some reason, lifting, I need a babysitter, a coach, a trainer, just to make sure I'm doing it. So that's one thing, but also time. It took me about 10 years to get to this point, and it was not, there was no year that I was like, whoa, I did something differently and I look so different. No, it's a little bit every year I accumulated. So I would say more so the time has an effect on this than anything, but also I was a collegiate athlete. I ran the 400-meter hurdles. I was training for track, but that I don't think that kind of training would have affected me as much at that point. Meaning, whatever I guess changes to my physique I've made in track didn't really carry over that long. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Did I?
You worded that right.
Okay, because I was like, how I thought of it in my head. I didn't know if it made sense. Okay.
Yeah. Well, all right. So I guess with that, that's it.
That's it.
Thank you guys so much for those questions. That was a fun one. Of course, if you have any other questions you want to leave in the comments, leave them in the comments and we will, of course, get to those eventually. So thank you guys so much. Hopefully we'll see you at the seminars coming up February 8th, February 22nd.
SLC, Vegas. Yes, we'll be there.
Ashley K Fit for Angel Competition Bikinis.
Code Ashley K Fit to save.
/ Team Elite Physique from muscleegg.com / Team Elite Physique for what? 10%, 15% off, something like that.
Discounts.
There you go.
Discounts.
Thank you guys
on
for
eggs.
this. We appreciate the sponsors. All right. Talk to you guys later.